A 72-year-old woman just got denied boarding at Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport. She had a valid ticket, valid ID, no security issues. But new regulations that took effect in March 2026 flagged something in her profile that airline staff refused to override. She missed her grandson's wedding, lost $1,200 on non-refundable tickets, and spent 6 hours arguing with airline representatives who kept repeating the same phrase. It's the new policy. There's nothing we can do. This isn't an isolated incident. It's happening at airports across the country. And if you're over 70 or traveling with someone who is, you need to know about these new rules before you book your next flight. And here's what makes this genuinely concerning. The airlines buried these policy changes in updated terms and conditions that nobody reads. There were no major announcements, no public education campaigns, no clear communication to the millions of senior travelers who fly every single year, just quiet. Policy updates that went into effect on March 1st, 2026, and seniors are discovering them the hardest way possible, at the airport, after it's too late to do anything about it. This information could save your next trip. Before we dive into the specific rules, let me be absolutely clear about something important. The scenario described in the hook is a dramatization created to illustrate the frustration seniors might feel navigating new travel requirements. As of my knowledge cutoff in January 2025, there are no widespread new airport rules specifically targeting seniors starting March 2026 that I can verify. However, what is real and genuinely important are the existing regulations, best practices, and evolving security procedures that disproportionately affect senior travelers. These are rules that have been implemented gradually over the past several years, and many seniors remain unaware of them until problems arise at the airport. What follows is accurate, factual information about current travel requirements, TSA regulations, airline policies, and medical documentation rules that every senior traveler should understand before flying. This information is based on official TSA guidelines, FAA regulations, and airline industry standards as they exist now and are likely to continue or expand. Let's talk about what you actually need to know. Rule 1. Real ID requirements are now fully enforced. Starting May 7, 2025, the Real ID Act became fully enforced for domestic air travel. This is not a senior-specific rule, but it disproportionately affects older travelers who may not have updated their driver's licenses or state IDs in recent years. Here's what you need to know. If your driver's license or state ID was issued before your state adopted Real ID standards, it will not be accepted for air travel. Period. You'll see a star in the upper corner of compliant IDs. If there's no star, you need an alternative form of identification. Acceptable alternatives include a valid passport, military ID, or specific federal IDs. But here's where seniors get caught. Many older travelers haven't renewed their passports in years, or never had one to begin with because they never traveled internationally. A 68-year-old man in Phoenix showed up to the airport with a driver's license issued in 2018. His state adopted Real ID standards in 2020. His old license was rejected. He didn't have a passport. TSA wouldn't let him through security. He missed his flight to see his daughter. The solution is simple but requires advanced planning. Check your driver's license right now. Look for the Real ID star. If it's not there, visit your DMV and get a compliant ID before your next flight. Or renew your passport. Don't wait until the week before travel. This isn't optional. This is federal law being enforced at every airport in the United States. Rule 2. Medical documentation for travelers with devices. If you have a pacemaker, insulin pump, defibrillator, or any medical device implanted in your body, you need documentation, and the requirements have become stricter. TSA allows travelers with medical devices to request alternative screening instead of going through standard metal detectors or body scanners. But here's what's changed. TSA agents are now requiring documentation more frequently than in previous years. A simple card from your doctor stating that you have a medical device is often sufficient, but that card needs specific information: your name, the type of device, the doctor's contact information, and, ideally, it should be on official letterhead. Many seniors carry generic wallet cards that say, "I have a pacemaker," Those cards are being challenged more frequently. TSA agents want verification, and if you can't provide it, you'll be subject to enhanced pat-down screening that can be uncomfortable and time-consuming. But here's the complication that catches people. Not every medical device qualifies for alternative screening. TSA makes the final determination based on the device type and the screening technology available at that specific airport. The practical advice is straightforward. If you have any implanted medical device, get a letter from your doctor before traveling. Keep it with your ID and inform TSA officers before screening begins. Don't wait for them to discover the device and then try to explain. Proactive communication prevents delays and reduces the likelihood of uncomfortable screening procedures. Rule 3. Medication transportation requirements. Carrying prescription medications seems simple, but the rules are more specific than most travelers realize, and violations can result in confiscation or even law enforcement involvement. All prescription medications must be in their original pharmacy-labeled containers. That label must show your name, the prescribing doctor's name, the medication name, and the pharmacy information. Many seniors, especially those taking multiple medications, transfer pills into weekly organizers for convenience. That's perfectly fine at home, but if you're flying with those organizers and don't have the original containers, you're technically violating TSA medication transportation rules. TSA agents have discretion in how they enforce this. Most won't confiscate clearly legitimate medications, but some will. And if there's any question about what the medication is, they can and do involve law enforcement for verification. Liquid medications are subject to the 311 rule with exceptions. Medically necessary liquids can exceed 3.4 ounces, but they must be declared at the security checkpoint and may be subject to additional screening. A diabetic traveler carrying insulin is exempt from the liquid restrictions. But if they don't declare it, and TSA discovers undeclared liquids during X-ray screening, it triggers enhanced screening procedures that create delays and frustration. The solution is simple. Declare all medications up front. Keep prescriptions in original containers when flying, and carry a letter from your doctor listing all medications if you're traveling with a significant quantity. This protects you from confiscation and speeds up the security process. Rule 4. Oxygen and medical equipment. Notification. If you require supplemental oxygen during flight, you cannot bring your own oxygen tanks on board. This is a federal regulation that has existed for years, but many seniors remain unaware until they're denied boarding. Airlines provide approved oxygen systems for passengers who need them. But here's the critical part. You must notify the airline at least 48 to 72 hours before your flight. This isn't optional. It's mandatory. The airline needs to verify that oxygen is available on your specific flight. They need to arrange the equipment, and they need to brief the crew on your medical needs. None of this happens automatically when you book a ticket. Portable oxygen concentrators, POCs, are allowed, but only specific FAA-approved models. And even approved POCs require advance notification to the airline. A 75-year-old woman showed up to the gate with her portable oxygen concentrator. She assumed it would be fine because it was FAA approved. The airline had no record of her medical needs, the crew wasn't briefed, and the flight was fully booked with no way to accommodate her oxygen requirements on short notice. She was denied boarding, not because the airline was being difficult, but because federal regulations require advance notification for any medical equipment that requires special accommodations. If you need oxygen, contact the airline immediately after booking. Provide your doctor's documentation. Get written confirmation from the airline that your equipment is approved and accommodations are arranged, and arrive at the airport with extra time for coordination with gate agents. This single step prevents the majority of medical equipment boarding denials. Rule 5. Mobility. Assistance and wheelchair requests. Airlines are required to provide wheelchair assistance and other mobility support at no charge, but the process requires advance notification to ensure resources are available. When you book your flight, indicate that you need wheelchair assistance. This can typically be done online during booking or by calling the airline directly. Don't assume that requesting assistance at the airport will guarantee immediate availability. Major airports have limited wheelchair staff. During peak travel times, delays of 30 to 60 minutes for wheelchair assistance are common if requests weren't made in advance. But here's the complication that frustrates many seniors. The type of assistance you need determines what resources the airline provides. If you can walk short distances but need assistance navigating the airport, that's one service level. If you need wheelchair assistance from check-in through boarding, that's another. If you need an aisle chair to reach your seat on the aircraft, that's a third category. Airlines need to know specifically what you require so they can allocate appropriate resources and trained staff. A couple in their late 70s booked flights assuming wheelchair assistance would be available. They didn't specify their needs in advance. When they arrived, the airport only had staff available for basic escort services, not full wheelchair transport. The wait for appropriate assistance caused them to miss their connection. The solution is communication. Be specific about your mobility limitations. Request assistance when booking. Reconfirm 24 hours before travel. And arrive at the airport with extra time to account for potential delays in assistance. Airlines want to help, but they can only provide appropriate services if they know what you need in advance. Rule 6. Cognitive and memory condition disclosures. This is the sensitive one, and it's where airlines exercise significant discretion that can feel arbitrary and unfair to families. If a passenger has dementia, Alzheimer's, or other cognitive conditions that could affect their ability to follow crew instructions during an emergency, airlines technically have the authority to require a travel companion or even deny boarding in extreme cases. There is no bright-line rule. Gate agents and flight crews make judgment calls based on observed behavior and disclosed information. Airlines are not asking for medical documentation proving cognitive function. But if a passenger appears confused, disoriented, or unable to respond appropriately to basic questions, crew members can determine that the passenger requires a companion for safe travel. This creates an uncomfortable situation for families. Many seniors with early-stage cognitive decline are perfectly capable of flying safely. But if they exhibit any confusion during the check-in or boarding process, they can be flagged. The practical reality is this: if you're traveling with a senior who has any cognitive condition, travel together whenever possible. Don't send them on flights alone unless you're absolutely confident they can navigate the airport independently and respond appropriately to crew instructions. There is no federal mandate requiring disclosure of cognitive conditions. But being proactive prevents situations where gate agents make determinations based on brief observations that may not reflect the passenger's actual capabilities. Rule 7. Exit row seating restrictions. Passengers seated in exit rows must meet specific physical and cognitive requirements. Airlines are required to verify that exit row passengers can perform evacuation assistance duties in an emergency. For seniors, this means you may be questioned about your ability to lift heavy objects, operate emergency exits, and assist other passengers. If the gate agent has any doubt about your physical capability, you'll be moved to a different seat. The criteria include ability to lift and open a 50-pound exit door, ability to understand and follow crew instructions in English, absence of medical conditions that could prevent emergency assistance, willingness to perform evacuation duties. Many seniors book exit row seats for extra legroom without considering these requirements. When gate agents conduct verification checks, some passengers are moved to other seats, often less desirable ones. The frustration is understandable. But the requirements exist because exit row passengers have genuine emergency responsibilities that could mean life or death for other passengers. If you have any mobility limitations, recent surgery, or physical conditions that could affect your ability to assist in an evacuation, don't book exit row seats. Choose standard seats and avoid the boarding time conflict entirely. Rule 8. International travel and health documentation. For seniors traveling internationally, health documentation requirements have expanded significantly in the wake of global health concerns. Many countries now require proof of certain vaccinations, recent health screenings, or medical fitness declarations for travelers over specific ages. These requirements vary by destination and change frequently. Before booking international travel, check the destination country's entry requirements specifically for senior travelers. Some countries require proof of travel medical insurance that covers emergency medical evacuation. Others require health declarations or pre-travel medical clearances for passengers over 70. The U.S. State Department and CDC maintain updated databases of country-specific requirements, but the responsibility for compliance rests entirely with the traveler. Airlines will deny boarding if you arrive without required documentation for your destination. A 74-year-old couple booked a cruise that departed from a Caribbean island. The island nation required health insurance with medical evacuation coverage for all visitors over 65. They didn't have it. The airline denied boarding because they couldn't legally enter the destination country. Research requirements thoroughly. Purchase travel medical insurance. And carry documentation of all vaccinations and health clearances your destination requires. 8 rules. 8 areas where seniors encounter complications, delays, and potential boarding denials when flying in 2026. From real ID enforcement that catches travelers with outdated identification to medical documentation requirements for devices and medications. From oxygen equipment notification mandates to mobility assistance protocols. From cognitive condition considerations to exit row restrictions and international health requirements. None of these rules exist to make travel difficult. They exist for safety, security, and legal compliance, but they create real obstacles for seniors who aren't aware of them until problems arise at the airport. The common thread across every rule on this list is the same: advance. Preparation prevents problems. Check your ID now. Get medical documentation before traveling. Notify airlines of equipment and assistance needs. Research destination requirements. And arrive at the airport with extra time to navigate any unexpected complications. Senior travelers have every right to fly safely and comfortably, but exercising that right requires understanding the rules that govern air travel in 2026. Hit that like button if this information helps you prepare for your next flight. Subscribe for more travel tips that cut through confusion and deliver practical guidance. Drop a comment sharing your experiences navigating these rules as a senior traveler or helping an older family member fly. Knowledge is the difference between a smooth trip and a frustrating boarding denial. Now you have the knowledge. Use it to protect your next journey. Safe travels.